Welcome to Sow Chatty. I'm Kerry from Dog on the Plot.
And I'm Claire from the Farmyard Garden.
And today's main event is storing and preserving our produce. And I understand, Claire, that our choosing this topic for this week has kicked you into action.
It has. I've actually had a manic week. When I said in my video on Sunday that I hadn't had much time for gardening this week, that's because I spent all of my time in the kitchen preserving left, right and centre. So yeah, it's been very, very busy, but I am prepared now. I'm ready and I'm very excited for this episode. I think it's very timely, clearly. And I think it's a really good one for everyone.
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of response on the community page this week. And I want to say thank you to everybody who sent in pictures of the produce that they have been preserving. And we're going to try and put as many of those pictures onto the YouTube video as we can. And we'll they exist on the community page. So if people are watching on Spotify, they can come onto YouTube and see the pictures there as well. So thank you to everybody for participating. And actually 74% of our viewers said that they do preserve produce. So
Wow.
Yes, it should be a good topic. So we're anticipating that this is going to be a large one, and we're going to roll in our show and tells with the main event. But we should start with our hot or not. And Claire, what's your hot for this week?
I think it's my fruit cage as a collective, which is a very strange thing to say this late in the season, isn't it? But I walked past it and I was stopped dead the other day by a self-seeded cosmos that has just had this amazing resurgence. The flowers on it are out of this world. I really do need to save some seeds from that one. And I don't ever remember planting a cosmos this dark in colour. And there's a couple that have come up around the plot this year and they're all this dark pink. And it just looks absolutely beautiful. But not only is that looking good, the grapevine that I tethered in not long ago and I pruned it all off has put some really good shoots up now. I need to make the sort of horizontal supports now for that so that we can start the actual vining across the fruit cage. So that's looking really amazing as well. But the final thing is that blueberry bush. Remember the one that put up a second set of flowers? Well, they're huge. They're absolutely huge blueberries on it, and the variety is called Hawk Blue Petite, and it had tiny blueberries on it in summer, and they are huge blueberries and they are starting to ripen. There's a handful of ripe ones on there. There's no frost forecast for the next fortnight and it's forecast to be quite sunny, so I have high hopes that I'm going to get a second flush of blueberries from the fruit cage. So yeah, it's got to be the fruit cage. What about you? What's hot in your garden or plot this week?
I'm thinking I need to go and have a look at my blueberries and see if No, when you said that yours had started flowering again, mine were definitely not doing that. But it was that weird thing after this strange, very hot, dry summer that we've had. Things didn't know what they were doing, were they? And
no.
All sorts of things were seeming to have a second flush of blossom. My hot is that I spent a full day on the plot yesterday and I absolutely loved it.
Brilliant.
It was just such a nice day. It was a bit blustery because obviously we're having the tail end of Storm Amy come through yesterday, which I guess is a bit of a knot. It wasn't great to have a storm coming through, although I did feel that everything that could be down on my plot is already down. So it wasn't going to do much damage. And everything was fine on the plot. And yeah, I just got stuck in because I think over the last few weeks, I've been going down. I've been obviously harvesting tomatoes constantly, but just sort of primping around the edges and not really getting stuck into anything. So to have this full day where I knew I could dedicate the whole day to being down there was just great. And I did get quite a bit done. You wouldn't know it to look at it. It still looks pretty much the same, but I can see it. I can see what I've changed, and I feel so much better having started part of the clear up, really, but there's still so much to harvest that I'm not quite at the point of having empty beds. Oh, and I did the thing which I'm pretty sure was my promise for last week. Let me see I had tidy up on there. You had preserving produce.
Nailed it.
We both had sowing onions, which we both did.
We've both done, yes.
Well, I guess the thing that I also did was one, not from last week, but the week before, which was to put out my beetroot seedlings. You remember, sad little beetroot seedlings. They'd been sitting on top of the IBC tank. So I finally found some bits of bed that I could fit some things in. So I made some room and I put in, the beetroot. And what was also in that tray were some mangel wurzels. And I had forgotten that they were in there, and they are the yellow mangel wurzels. So mostly on my plot, well, I think all the ones on my plot are the pink ones that I did before, and they are growing huge now. I'm so excited about those. And when we talk about the preserving and stuff, that's in the back of my mind. How am I going to preserve these mangel wurzels? And so, yes, I put some yellow ones in, and they should be fine outside in the ground over winter. I'm hopeful.
That was going to be the next question, because I'm not sure, or I was not aware that beetroot would survive winters outside at all. I mean, obviously, I've no idea about the mangel wurzel, but beetroot in itself is something I always think I'm going to harvest before the frosts come. So it's nice to know that they could overwinter.
Well, I'm not sure about the seedlings.
Oh.
The beetroots themselves, because I've got plenty of beetroot on the plot.
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine with some light frosts and stuff, and I'm sure people leave them in the ground. I have not had much success with beetroot until this year, so it'll be very much a first try for me. But I did put the boldor beetroots into the polytunnel. I had a gap where I'd had some of the gherkins and things. So I put those in there. So they should be okay in the polytunnel. We'll see if they bulb up in there. But the ones that I put outdoors might just be for leaves. We'll see.
Oh, exciting.
What's your not then, Claire?
Oh, do you know what? I'm so pleased with the garden at the moment that even though the wind has taken a couple of the dahlias out, they've fell over, a few of the straw flowers have fallen over, I don't really think that there is a knot at the moment. Just feel really at peace with the garden at the moment. You know, I've cleared out the polytunnel that was in Sunday's video. So that's all been cleared out now. So I think that the tomatoes and the cucumbers and the melons were what looked like a knot really at the time, but they've gone now. And now there's this hope of the seedlings that I've sown, and there's this new winter season to come. So I don't feel that I genuinely have a knot. I'm really quite content at the moment. What about you? You've got a knot?
Well, yes, but I wanted to ask you about that melon because you had them. So was it okay?
Yes, it was absolutely fine. It was absolutely gorgeous.
So it's not a knot.
It was not a knot. No, obviously the other one was. I can't believe, for anyone that hasn't watched the video, I thought these melon plants had just died because of the frost, because they did suddenly die back. It was real sudden after the frost, and they probably did help it along. But I honestly had forgotten that I'd sown 3 varieties of melon in the polytunnel. I mean, it was labelled, so I had no excuse to have not known. And it was a honeydew melon. All this time I thought it was an Arava melon. So I've been waiting for it to become greener and then go yellow. Yeah. And I hadn't really noticed them until the foliage died back. I hadn't even really noticed the melons. They were quite hidden with the other melon foliage that was there from the Arava melons. And I saw them and they looked white. They looked like they died, you know, as though they looked really sad. So I harvested them. Well, I was clearing them. I wasn't harvesting them. And as I picked one up that was overripe, the just overwhelming smell of the melon hit me, and it just smelled delicious. And I was a bit, this is, strange. And then obviously I looked at the label and realised that I'd made a complete and utter mistake, but I had no idea what the honeydew melon should look like. So yeah, bit of a Google, and now one of them was just perfect, and it was delicious. So that is now bizarrely my favourite melon. I don't like watermelon. I've never been a fan, and I prefer the honeydew to the Arava. I mean, I guess they're both a cantaloupe type melon, are they? But anyway, I much prefer the honeydew. It's just a milder taste to me. I love it. It's sweeter as well, I think, is probably why I really like it. So yeah, it was nearly a knot, but it wasn't.
I don't think I'm going to, I didn't do melons this year. I only had the ones that you gave me, but I don't think I shall bother with melons next year. I did say this to Becky yesterday, and then she said, didn't we buy some melon seed from She Grows Veg? And I was like, no, I've already got the seed. If I've got the seed, I will sow it. But otherwise, I don't know. It seemed like a lot for not a lot. Yeah. Because I only had one fruit on each vine, and my vines weren't, very strong either. No. And then I went ahead and harvested the fruit too early.
Oh, you did, didn't you? You did?
Yeah. That was because of the horticultural show. It
Yeah.
forced me to harvest too early, and it wasn't ripe. So I haven't wasted it. It is in the freezer, and it's my intention to make frozen margaritas with it at some point, but not during October because I'm doing sober October this month.
Oh, of course, yes.
My knot is generally just my tomato overwhelm. That I went to the plot Saturday morning when it was stormy, and I thought I'd just go in the polytunnel, make sure everything's all right. And a couple of the tomato plants had blown down because I'd got the back of the polytunnel still half up. So I've zipped that properly up now. And so I was harvesting some of those that had fallen down and just generally doing the harvest through the polytunnel. 2 big bags I came home with. Then when I was down there yesterday, I did another big trug of tomatoes, and they're all across my work surface in the kitchen. I can't cook anything because everything's covered in tomatoes. And I'm just feeling a little bit like I have run out of what I can do with all these tomatoes.
You mean you might have oversown tomatoes? Maybe 72 plants
is
a few too many? I mean, how many too many is 72? I had 24 and I feel like they were too many, and we're feeding a family.
It's ridiculous, Claire. I was filming yesterday and I say in my video, you know, everybody told me it was ridiculous, and I went ahead and did it anyway. And I shan't be doing that again next year either. I think I'm going to reduce. So I can fit 30 tomatoes on one side of the polytunnel. So I had 60 in the polytunnel and then the various other ones dotted around. And so I'm only going to do half the polytunnel next year.
And that's still a lot of tomatoes. I feel like
I think plenty.
I think it is. And I think if we don't have as warm a season next year, I still think 30 is enough for a reduced crop that you might get. So yeah, I'm not going to do the 24. I think it was 24 that I had this year. No. I'm actually debating not having tomatoes in my centre aisle and growing something else there. If we've all been growing tomatoes, especially undercover this year, I think most of us have had an overwhelmingly brilliant season, haven't we, with them? And it's making a lot of us rethink. And I'm trying to not have a knee-jerk reaction in the sense that I know the year before that, they were quite poor, the return on them. So I don't want to go too far the other way as well. But I do feel like they were a little bit cramped, especially sort of in the L-shaped corner bed in my polytunnel. So I don't want to have, I mean, that's only taking one out. There was 3 in that corner. I'd like to take the actual corner one out. But yeah, I don't think I want quite so many. I don't think we eat as many as I gave credit for. And coming around to the preserving then makes you realise how many you've got. Also makes you realise how many you need when you're making jars of sauce and things. Yeah. So you need more than you think anyway, don't you? If you're eating them fresh, you don't need that many plants at all. But if you want to start canning and things, you're going to need a lot more tomatoes.
Well, we both ended up with quite a lot of beefsteaks this year, which wasn't necessarily the plan, but that's what we seem to come up with. And I mean, the size of those, and I mean, 2 of those is a jar of sauce probably. And if you've got like 20 of those on a plant would be nice. I cannot have that.
See,
if you've got 10 or so, really? No. Well, my plants are always less productive than yours because they're treated mean. They're treated mean.
Like last year, the beefsteaks, I might have had 3 or 4, maybe 5 at a push tomatoes on one plant. So I actually was thinking that the beefsteaks weren't worth the space that they were taking up because, a bit like you said a couple of weeks ago, tomato, a tomato's a tomato is a tomato. And so that I'd have something a bit more prolific on there. But they've been so prolific this year. They really have. And I've definitely had upwards of 20, maybe more on some of them this year. And they were still trying to shove them out when I ripped the plants out. Mostly the White Queen, and Duncan didn't like that one. He wanted a colourful tomato. It didn't look right to him. He said it didn't appeal to him. He did say it was very weak in flavour as well.
Yeah, I haven't been able to differentiate much between flavours, but I did think that White Queen one, I did strike that off the list for next year. And well, I mean, I talk about this in my video next week, but I think for this week, I did that again, didn't I? I said next week and it's this week. I think next year I'm going to think about the varieties that are stunning, really.
Yeah.
Not to be shallow, but I just want really beautiful looking tomatoes. And as they all taste like tomatoes to me, then it doesn't, I can't really differentiate too much on the taste itself, except for cherries. Yes. Cherries, I think, because I'm eating those ones fresh, whereas these beefsteak, I know people do have a big slice of tomato on bread or toast or whatever and things, but I haven't tended to do that this year. So my beefsteaks have all gone into the sauce, so it hasn't had to have that kind of raw flavour. But yeah, I mean, it was all a bit ridiculous. But I embrace that. Embrace the chaos of the polytunnel. And 60 fit fine, because that was the other thing. People were like, that's too many in that space. But they did bush out, and it was a bit jungly at times, but they all had enough space to grow. So that was good to know that if I do just one side, I can fit the 30 in that one side comfortably. Yeah. Okay, we're not going to do a show and tell, although we should show our mugs because we've not done that yet.
I don't have a gardening mug this time.
We've run out, Claire.
Mine's...
Yeah, I ran out too.
Yeah, mine's an Alex Clark mug. Obviously, someone bought to me regarding horses. It's cute, isn't it? I like the shape of this mug.
Oh, that's my one. There's a little vegan mug.
Oh, I like that.
That was
one.
From my sister for my birthday a few years ago, I think. Maybe it was Christmas, but yeah, it's a good one, that one.
It is.
Right. Daft things. You've got a whole list of these for this week, Claire.
I mean, most of them I really don't need to say to. I'm just like, go and watch the video because it's one daft thing after the other. You know, when I was editing that video, I could not stop laughing at the start of the video because I was really struggling to get the gloves on. And I don't say anything about them. I just keep chatting away to camera. When you could see I can't get these gloves on. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I had to cut a huge segment out where I was constantly chatting because I was just stalling for time to get this glove on, and it was proper waffle. So that was daft thing number one. Obviously, I also cut the wrong vines down on the cucumbers. I'd moved the camera. So that's what happened. So I was chopping them down, and then I thought, oh, this is boring. It's the same camera angle. I'll move the camera to the other angle. And I moved the camera, and somehow as I walked back down towards the cucumbers, I don't know whether I thought it was the birdhouse gourd, which is next to the one I should have been cutting down, but I just kind of walked past it and I just chopped at this cucumber. And then I'd cut off the one that I was supposed to be keeping because it had a lovely cucumber on it. I did take the cucumber in the house. It was quite small, but obviously it's edible. But disaster.
Good thing you didn't take the birdhouse gourd down.
Oh, that would have been an absolute disaster.
Are we meant to be keeping these on the vine while they go mouldy or whatever it is they're supposed to do?
I don't know, Kerry. I've been saying for about 3 weeks now that I'm going to make it my mission today to find out what I have to do with these birdhouse gourds.
I'm noting it down for next week. So Claire's going to discover what we have to do with the birdhouse.
I know
somebody could tell us in the chat.
Yeah, I know it's a bit of a grim process because they do go through a mouldy stage and then somehow turn out okay. But like you said, I don't know if they are supposed to start curing on the vine, like the loofahs have gone brown and have ripened. I have no idea because whilst mine have got quite a lot of mottling on them, the ones in the polytunnel anyway, whilst that looks more vibrant, you know, sort of more distinctive, should I say, I don't think that there's any evidence or sign that they're starting to brown in any way, shape or form. So yeah, I'm really unsure, Kerry. So it is about time that I check that out.
Yeah, because mine is on, the only structure still standing, which is the swing frame.
Yeah.
And it's covered in beans as well. And it's got the birdhouse gourd going through. But I mean, I'll need to clear the beans off at some point. And I thought, am I going to be leaving this thing standing all winter while this birdhouse gourd cures on the vine?
Yeah.
All right, we'll find out for next week.
We will.
Well, my daft thing was from last week because we spent an entire episode talking about growing partners and the people we grow with. And I didn't realize even till after the live chat on Tuesday that at no point during that did I mention Dory, my main growing partner, my partner in crime on the allotment. I didn't mention Dory once. And I wanted to correct it because there aren't many things that you can go and do with a dog other than
No.
go to a dog field or go walking. Like, they're not welcome many places. And that's why I think having a dog and doing gardening go so well together, because dogs are welcome at most garden centres,
Yep.
good garden centres. And they're welcome at most allotment plots. Now, I know some allotment plots have rules around dogs.
But yeah.
I know one, I'm sure somebody said you're only allowed one dog on a plot at a time, which seems bizarre. But yeah, it's, when I first got my plot, one of the big drivers for me was that it was something Dory and I could do together.
Yeah.
Or, at least have her there with me. And she's very much settled on the new plot as well. She likes like hanging out in the greenhouse mansion on the lounger chair.
She does.
While I'm working away. And so yes. She's not listening to me. She's just asleep in her basket.
She's forgiven
now,
you then, has she?
I think, well, I'm still in the doghouse from my episode the week before when she didn't feature at all in the whole plot tour. So she had some special scenes in this week's video to make up for it. So that was my Daff thing. And the other thing was, I didn't tell you this, Claire, but just before we started filming, I put my hair up and then I could hear this buzzing and I was, what's this? And then I went like that and something thingied in my hair. And I thought, oh, it must have been a fly or something. And then, a little bit later, I heard this buzzing again. It was still in my hair and it was a shield bug.
Oh, no.
And I think it'd come off the dahlias over here, because then I had a little route through and I found another one. So I was, saving shield bugs just before we started filming. They've gone back out into the garden. Any bargains of the week, Claire?
Well, I have had a bargain of the week, but again, it's relating really to what we were talking about last week. So I talked about that compost, topsoil that was on offer with Wixies. And I wasn't going to buy any because I do like buying it in bulk, but I was reminded that it was really good stuff to have on your carrot boxes. So I ordered some and I wanted 30 bags of it. And I put it in my basket and it came up with £4 delivery. And I put it in my basket. Then when I put in my postcode, the delivery changed to £35. And I thought, there's no way I'm paying £35 to have it delivered. It's not cheap then at all. But that particular deal finished on Wednesday. And I knew that me and Duncan couldn't get there to go and pick it up. So then I thought, well, if I bought one bag, because I almost accidentally ordered one bag and paid £4 delivery for a £2.50 bag of topsoil. So that was another daft thing. And then I realized that when I'd gone all the way through checkout and almost paid, to buy it and then realized it was only one bag, that it stayed at £4. So I made it my mission to find out how many bags I could order and stay within the £4 delivery.
This sounds like something I would do, not you.
You don't think I'm frugal, but in some cases I can be. So I discovered
I'm rubbing off on you.
You must be. I discovered that I could order 14 bags at the £4 delivery charge. So I ordered the 14 bags and then I did another order of 14 bags and I settled for 28 bags of compost. And, I felt so sorry because they obviously have some independent chap that comes to deliver it. They knew what I was doing because I ordered it on 2 different email addresses. One was in Duncan's name, one was in my name. And obviously the same address.
Sneaky.
And he came to deliver it. It was all piled together. He took it out of the van and piled it all together on the floor. And he wasn't very happy with me, to be fair, because clearly he was expecting to earn a lot more money for delivering this. I think he knew what I'd done. I'd cheated the system. But what a bargain. I paid £8 for all of this delivery instead of £35. So, yeah, that's how you cheat the Wix delivery system and get yourself a bargain of the week.
Heard it here, folks.
Still not cheaper than going to pick it up yourself, but, we'll gloss over that bit. It's still a bit of girl maths, but it's great girl maths.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be putting 28 bags of topsoil into the back of my up.
No. Well, you wouldn't get it in, would you? You wouldn't get it in. So.
Oh, well, the rest of us have missed that bargain, but we can remember in the future then how to scam Wix's delivery. I have a few bargains of the week. One of them is your fault, Claire.
Oh, dear.
I was watching you chop your stuff for the compost heap in your video, and it reminded me that I had broken my shears. And you recommended Spear & Jackson.
Razor sharp.
What are they called? Razor sharp.
Razor sharp.
Yes. I looked on Amazon this morning. They were on a lightning deal with the soft
Ooh.
handles as
Yeah.
well, which I thought, yeah, that's worth it. So I treated myself to those.
Well done.
They'll be coming tomorrow, and then I have no excuse for
No.
not chopping on my compost. They're good shears, though, you say. They've got a satisfying
Yes.
sound.
Yeah, I bought them in person, and there's this thing where you go in the garden centre and you kind of snap them together because you want to feel that, like that glide of the blades. It's just a satisfying noise, and yeah, they sounded sharp, and they are sharp. They have done quite well. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with those. Very overworked in the garden, aren't they? Shears. One of the most underrated tools we can have in a garden, I think. So yeah, I'm loving
Well, not
them.
for me, because I'm sure I broke these 2 years ago.
What have you been
So
doing?
I don't know quite.
You don't chop your compost though, do you?
I don't really know. Just stuff it in and
You
hope
will
for the
now.
best.
You will
But
now.
I thought for things as well, like bushes and stuff, just to kind of chop those back and things. Because Mum was saying as well, she was wondering whether to get a hedge trimmer because her one had broken. But we used to both have big hedges of conifers that you would need to hedge trim. And now we both got rid of those, so that we've just got a few kind of bushes and things. And it's like, well, you don't really need a big tool like that just to do those. So we've both decided shears are the way to go. So I think she'll test mine when I've got them, and then or we can share them. I think all my deals are pretty much Amazon. But people will know that I am a massive fan of arnica oil. And if you get the aches and pains of a gardener, then arnica oil should be in your bathroom. And it's currently reduced to £10 on Amazon. Amazon Prime Day is today, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Prime Big Deal Day, I think it's called. And the other thing that you might want to look at on that is, and Claire and I have been singing the praises of this tool for a few weeks, is the Pronabos. And I have secured a discount code for that. So that'll be shared on my channel on my last video. So if you are interested in the Pronado, if we've sold them to you, then now is the time to get them while they're on a good offer. It's 10% extra on the discount that will already be on there for Big Prime Day.
Wow.
I've got one last one, which is not an Amazon one. And this is actually from Debbie, who showed, and we'll show her picture. She'd got the little kilner jars in it. And a couple of people, me included, were like, oh, they're so cute. And would quite like those jars. And she said they are currently on offer at Dunelm. And I did a little calculation like you, Claire. I was in my basket adding to see what it came up to. And it was quite a lot cheaper than to buy the 12-pack that is on Amazon at the moment. So little bargain at Dunelm as well there. But I think that's everything that I've got.
Excellent.
I guess that leads us neatly into our preserving, talking about kiln the jars. I don't know about you, Claire, but I've had to extend my table today in order to fit on everything that we're going to have in this show and tell. I think you've got a box beside you, haven't you?
I do have a box, and there's things on the floor, and it is a sofa bed next to me in the garden room here, so it is full. There's a satisfying
So we've
jingle.
got lots of things to show. We're going to overlay some stuff as well, including your pictures. And the way we thought we'd do this, because we've got 10 different preserving methods or storing methods, and I've written them all on these cards. Okay, these are my horticultural show win cards, because that's what I found this morning. So I'm going to shuffle them, and we're going to do them in the order that they come in the pile. So you ready for this, Claire?
I think so.
Right. Oh no, I lost one.
I'm just going to say, are you ready for this? This is the thing.
Oh no, I've dropped it again. Oh, this is going to start really well if I just keep dropping things. Oh, it's a good one to start with, though. Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Preserving jams, chutneys, syrups. Chong.
Chong. We'll talk about chong in a moment. Let's start with the easy one. Jam. How much jam have you made this year, Claire? How many dams and jams?
Well, I've only made 11 jars because, do you know, I'm so mean.
Only.
My niece, Emily, loves damson jam, and she was going to buy a damson plant. And I said, don't buy one. It's huge, ours, as you can have some damsons from it. And I think because she was going to buy one, I got sold down the river that she wanted to make her own jam. And I felt so mean when I made all of this damson jam. And then all I actually did for her was give her 2 kilograms of damsons. When I was making it, I could have just made hers as well. It wouldn't have
Make
been
your own jam.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been any more effort for her, would it? If I just, well, for me, should I say, really, if I'd just made hers. So, yeah, I've only made 11 jars because my daughter-in-law
But
loves
she
it.
might have wanted the joy of making it herself.
Well, I'm hoping
Is
so.
she a jam maker? Yeah.
She's
I
never
enjoy
has
making
been.
jam.
I loved making the jam. And
Yeah.
I did take her a little jar yesterday and I said, I'm going to do a deal with you. I said, you get one of my jars. I said, and then I want one of yours to taste your damson jam in return when you've made yours. So she's going to fill the jar back up and give me that back when she makes hers.
Oh, okay.
Because she's not making it yet. That's something she's going to do more into winter. So yeah, I've made damson jam. So I'm going to show and tell a bit now then. So this is one of my jars of damson jam. It's very pretty.
Look how pretty.
Well, these are the jars that I bought from Hobbycraft, which were 3 for 2. And if you bought enough of them, they sent you these kits to put on the top of the jars. So all of these labels were free and came with it. Don't get that from Sports Direct Kilner jars, do you? So,
you don't.
You don't. So that's my damson jam. And I have some little ones as if I want to give them away to people. And I don't want to give them, if I don't like you that much, you're only getting a little jar. Although it is a posh little jar.
Rewind.
No.
Just before we came on to film, you said, I think this one's for you, Kerry. I'm knowing a small.
A regular jar of jam and a Kerry's jar of jam. No, these are
chic.
I know, but these are 2 different jams actually, and I've only made 4 jars, and I only made 4 of this size and 2 of this size and 2 of these. And this is a new jam to me. And do you know what, Kerry? That's why you're having a sample of it, because there really isn't enough this year to share about. Well, this is crabapple and sloe jelly. And it is absolutely divine. We were out checking our livestock yesterday, and as we came back down towards the farm, I just walked past this crabapple tree in the hedge. I mean, never seen it before. Don't know where it came from. Funnily enough, it's a hedge that we haven't cut for 2 years. And it has been cut now, but Andrew, who does the work for us, obviously has cut round this tree because it's grown up through the hedge and he's left it. And there was all these crab apples on it. Had no idea it was there. So there weren't many left on it. So I only managed to pick up just over 500 grams of crab apples, which is why I don't have much jam to make. I didn't know what I was going to do with them until I came home and it suggested crab apple and sloe jam. And I was like, well, I've just picked sloes as well. So yeah, it was just meant to be, wasn't it? But it is, honestly, it's beautiful. And apparently you can add a dash of gin to it. So you can have crab apple and sloe gin jam, but I haven't made that. So yeah, I've got these little jars of jam to give away or eat probably myself. Now I've realised how much I like it.
So that one's a jelly. And what's the difference between a jam and a jelly then?
So these are much more set than the jam. I mean, they both spread on toast. They don't look any different when you spread them. It's not overly set. It's not hard. But the idea with this is, whilst this is to be eaten as a jam on toast or whatever, it is also that slightly thicker set that you can put it on a cheese board. And apparently it goes really well on a cheese board as well. So you can slice it and it kind of will hold its form if you want it to. But yeah, I mean, you could just put more water in if you wanted it to be a runnier set than that. But it's not, it's not hard to get out, and it did spread. I tried it this morning just to make sure that it would still spread on toast or jam, and it was perfect. Toast or bread, and it was perfect.
I always think of with jelly as well that's strained with jellies. Like you get a clear preserve with jellies. Which I did with my sloe one, but mine had sloes, elderberries, rose hips, hawthorn. That's my hedgerow one, which I'm just looking. I think that might be the hedgerow one.
Yeah.
There. Oh, no, it's not, because that's got pips in. That's blackberry and elderberry. That's from 24. That was not this year. I was just grabbing the jams out of the cupboard. I have got this one though. So this one would be a jelly. Yes, because this is plum and chokeberry.
Nice.
That one. Which I think we mentioned on an earlier
Yeah.
episode because we were talking about the chokeberries, weren't we? But this one's definitely a jam because it's full of seeds. And that was my ground cherry and Cape gooseberry one.
Nice. The freezer is full of currants, so I will make a currant jam at some point as well. But these
That's
are all
jelly. That's always jelly,
yeah,
isn't it?
but these are the ones
yeah.
that I've made this week. So yeah, been very busy making jams this week.
Yeah, I think I probably made 10 jars, something like that, which pales into comparison to Gary, who has preserved 25 jars of jam so far. So we'll put that picture up on the screen. What about chutneys? Are you a chutney person?
I don't eat it, but I do want to make beetroot chutney. I need to look at the recipe for that, but I haven't made chutneys. I'm going to guess that you will have done.
I have, and my neighbour gave me her beetroot chutney actually, so I've not made beetroot chutney. This one is also last year's. This is a pear, fig and ginger chutney. These were the pears from my cousin's tree in her garden. It is lovely. The secret to that is using ginger wine as your liquid in there.
So I'm going to ask a silly question now. When I think of chutney, I always think that they're going to have onions and things in. So does it have anything? Is it literally just pear and fig and what was the other thing?
Ginger.
Ginger, that was it. So are there onions and things in there as well?
Yeah, I think there's onions in there.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't like that.
No, not raisins because you've got the fig. It's been a year since I made it, so I'm a bit hazy on what actually went into it, but I can share the recipe below because I'm sure I have it somewhere. But I'm a bit, because chutneys are like a thing you tend to eat with cheese, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously I don't eat cheese, so I find it a bit difficult to eat chutneys. I tend to give them away more than anything. And Liam's dad loves that pear, fig and ginger one. And I saw, what was it on? Oh, it was on 18 and Cloudy, that YouTube channel. Stephanie, she was doing a galette, so a pastry like pie thing, and she'd put butternut squash on it and then chutney on top and then baked it like that. And I thought that's a way that I can perhaps use chutneys then. And I put it in last night. I made I can never remember the words for this. Capiata. I'm saying that wrong. It's a tomato dish with aubergine, and you put raisins in it. And I had put some raisins in, and I thought, well, why not put a bit of this chutney in as well? So to add the sweetness to it. It was delicious actually. Had it with some sourdough. Very nice. So we've done jams and chutneys. What about syrups? Do you make syrups?
I haven't, no.
My hedgerow elderberry jam was meant to be a syrup. But as we've established, I have trouble with setting points for jams, and I boiled it a bit long and it became a jam. And I think Lost on the Plot 99 was also commenting about the setting points of jams, and I think she was saying that hers were too runny.
Oh yes, I
mine
commented.
Are too set.
I said you'd make a good jam between you. I mean, obviously, yes. I needed to ask you about this anyway, which will obviously go for her as well. Do you not have a jam thermometer?
I do.
Do you use it when you're cooking your jams?
No, I don't.
Right. Well, therein lies the problem.
I know. I've got one. I've got a probe one as well, so I could use that, which is even more exact. But I have found that I used that before and I got it to the jam setting point, and that's when I made the boiled sweet. It'd gone too far. So I gave up with that, and now I just boil it for a while, do the little wrinkle test on the cold plate. If it wrinkles, I'm like, it's done. And I prefer a jam that isn't so firm. So I don't mind if it's a little bit on the soft side.
Yeah.
But these ones that I made a rhubarb and strawberry one that is too firm. But I've been using it for cakes, and it's perfect for the center of cakes because I can just melt it a little bit in the microwave or whatever, warm it up a bit so that you can spread it. And then when cools down in the cake, it firms up. So it holds the cake really well. So although that felt like a bit of a fail when I did it, in the end, it's turned out to be quite good.
But obviously you could have rescued it though, couldn't you? So all you needed to do...
boiled it again?
Well, you put it back on the heat with a bit more water. Yeah. But I mean, if you'd really felt that it was wrecked, you could have done that. I mean, I was worried about the sloe yesterday because of the sloe and crab apple, because that was really runny when I was making it. Whereas I found that the damson jam, even though it's gone through a food mill, it is a thicker natural syrup when it's in the saucepan. This is very watery. So I was a bit worried that it wasn't going to hit its setting point. And actually at 105, because that is the setting point on the thermometer, it was too runny, but it is supposed to be a jelly and it didn't pass the wrinkle test. So I actually boiled it to 106 and it said that was safe. It's when you hit 107 and above that you start getting to boiled sweet territory.
It's so close though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously you have to immediately, you hit the setting point, take it off the stove, don't keep boiling it, which is what I did. And, you know, it is a jelly, it is how it's supposed to be. But it did firm up after it had finished, you know, after it came off the heat, it firmed up quite quickly.
Yeah. The worst one I made was that time that I did it and it was a boiled sweet and I tried to bang the knife in. It just hit the surface and bounced off. And that I did reboil. So I had to heat up the jar for ages in order to get it liquid enough to actually get out of the jar. And then I put more liquid with it and things, but I could only get it to the consistency of like a gummy.
Yeah.
And I put it in ice cube trays and like set them as sweets. But then I didn't really feel like eating them after that. So they ended up
kind of put
in the
you
compost heap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was worried. And that's why I opened one of those little jars this morning, because I was worried that it would have set in the jar overnight because it was definitely thicker. But I did have to keep reminding myself I was following a recipe for a thicker jelly, not a jam.
There's one more syrup that I have made, and that's with medlars. So being vegan, I don't have regular honey, so I make my own honey, and I've made dandelion honey before, but then I tried it with medlars and it's got a lovely flavour to it. So you can see it's a runny honey. But medlar jelly is the thing that you usually make, and that's the recipe I followed. But I made runny honey, not by intention again. And I've used that recipe a couple of times, and every time it makes a runny honey instead of the jelly. So I don't know. Maybe I should start using my jam thermometer. So we had a few people show us their jams, and we'll put those on screen. We had Debbie with her runner bean chutney. Never heard of runner bean chutney before. I think that would be a great way to use up runner beans. So there was some interest in that. Perhaps Debbie can share the recipe with us. And we had a few people who've been doing the cowboy candy, which I think would come under this category. So Siggy, Ali and Liz had all made cowboy candy. I am very interested in this. I have got Audrey's recipe. I want to make it. I think in her recipe, she asked for 4 pounds of chilies. I think I'm going to have to reduce all the measurements and do a slightly smaller batch, but I'm just waiting on my chilies to be ready. But speaking of chilies, people were also making sweet chili sauce. So Ali and Liz had both made that as well. And I have done chili sauce, but I've done that on a different category. So we'll get to that in a bit. Anything else you want to say on, we didn't mention the chong. Have you ever done a chong?
No.
So basically you have your fruit and you pack it with sugar. And as the sugar dissolves and with the fruit, you're left with this really thick syrup. Ali has done it. She did it with rhubarb. That was right. She did it with rhubarb. It looked delicious. I saw one recently with fig and I was thinking, that would be good. I haven't done it myself. I do want to do it. It's on the list. Maybe Ali can send us a picture of hers to put on.
If people are unfamiliar with chong, like I am, what would you do with it afterwards then? Do you add it to water? Do you make a drink?
Use it like a cordial. Yeah, I guess you could. I would probably put it in things like my kefir or my kombucha to flavour those, which maybe is what Ali did because she makes kombucha as well. We'll get to fermenting. It might be the next card. This card, my third place, is for the 2 cucumbers that I put into the horticultural show. But the category is
drying.
Right. What have you dried? Have you dehydrated or air dried, Claire?
The only thing I've air dried is calendula. But I air dried it so that I could steep it in oil to do something else with it. So yes. So we won't mention the calendula.
Save that one then. Well, I tell you what we can do in place of the calendula then as an air dried flower is this. This is rose petals.
Nice.
So they were just air dried, and I just tend to put them in a basket and leave them in the sun in the conservatory. I don't know if you're supposed to have them in direct sun, but and that's another thing that I add to things like kombuchas and kafirs, and it gives a lovely flavour. What else did I put rose in? Oh, it wasn't the ground cherry jam. What was the jam that I put into the show?
Oh yes, I remember you put rose in it.
It was the cherry plum, Mirabelle cherry plum, and I put rose in that. So yeah, that's very versatile. I don't know when I collected these rose petals. I think I've had this jar for quite some time. Teas as well. I sometimes put that in. Oh yeah, and that's one I didn't bring to put on my table is that I've been drying some herbs for teas. So the other day I did the pineapple sage for teas.
Nice.
Okay.
But I have been dehydrating.
Go on.
And that was this week as well. Never done this before. So I've done 2 lots of dehydrating this week. And this first jar here, these are dehydrated tomatoes. So the very last of the tomatoes, a very satisfying jingle of tomatoes here. And I probably shouldn't really open the jar, but I don't care because I'm not going to eat them. So they smell quite nice though. So this is what you end up with.
Oh, wow.
Would I do them again? Probably not. And I'll tell you why. 36 hours they took in the dehydrator.
Yeah. So I have another one that I can't show yet because it's for later. And part of that was me dehydrating tomatoes. And I partially dehydrated. And even then they were in 12 hours or something like that. And I was like, good grief, if you were going to try and get these fully dry, it would take forever. And clearly it did.
36 hours at 50 degrees.
But didn't you last year, just dry the skins?
No.
You haven't done that. Is
that what you would make powder out of then, the skins?
Yeah, tomato powder, yeah.
No, but I might do that next year.
I think that's what I assumed you were doing when you said you'd been doing your tomatoes and dehydrating them.
My idea for these is apparently they rehydrate naturally in the oven. I don't quite know how, but they do, because you'd think they dry up even more. But I'm planning on chopping them up and adding them to some artisan breads because Duncan would like that. So like a sun-dried, sun-dried sourdough is what I've got. Sun-dried tomato sourdough, because that's effectively what you're making by doing them in the dehydrator. But that's not the only thing I've dehydrated. I've also got this lovely jar of dehydrated sliced apples. They are delicious. They really are delicious. And what I thought I would also mention, I'll get one out. They're like crisps. So look, broke in half, just like that. Properly.
Did you flavour them at all?
No, they just go a little bit brown in the middle. But yeah, that's dehydrated.
I put cinnamon.
And I was going to, but I wasn't sure how much to put on them. But what I wanted to point out was that I have these little silica gel sachets in here. And these don't come from anything that I've bought. These are actually, well, I have bought these, but instead of using them from parcels that have been delivered, these are actually food grade silica gel sachets that you can buy. And I think it was $5.99 for 50 sachets. Something like that. I didn't think it was overly expensive to know that was food grade. Now, I probably am a marketer's dream, and there's probably no difference in these whatsoever to a normal food grade, to a normal silica gel sachet, but I've bought them, and I've got 3 of those in there because obviously the last thing you want is them to absorb moisture from inside the jar, and then they would start rehydrating themselves. So that's why they are in there. So yeah, apples.
That's a good tip. I've never done it. Just stick them in a jar. And I haven't had any problems, but I do find that when you dry apple, and I've done strawberries, which are delicious. I've done mango. Obviously, I didn't grow a mango, but I have dehydrated them before. But you eat them so quick, it doesn't matter because they are delicious. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I haven't dried anything else, no.
Not done any chilies yet?
No, I was going to, but I think I ran out of time, Kerry, because those tomatoes took so long. I ran out of time.
There's a lemon drop.
Lovely.
That's done. I had a whole jar of these from last year, if you remember, and I dehydrated a big tray of chilies, and I made my little chili necklace. Do you remember my chili necklace,
do, yes.
Claire? And turns out I didn't really eat them. They just sat in their jar, dried. You see, the silicone pouch would have been good in those. So what I ended up doing this year was taking them all and whizzing them up to make chili powder. And
I did actually do that.
With that.
Yeah, I did that last year. I did do some last year, and I will make some more again this year. I didn't mill mine too much. Mine was more like chili flakes.
More flakes.
Yeah. But that worked. And actually, they didn't take that long in the dehydrator. These apples, for instance, these were only 6 hours in the dehydrator. They're sliced with a mandolin. You just core them, slice them with a mandolin. I left the peel on. You can peel them if you want to, but I left it on. And 6 hours. Again, 55 degrees I put them in because it recommended 57. And I can't set my digital thing precisely. It goes up in 5-degree increments. So I chose the 55. But only 6 hours.
Yeah. Mine's got just kind of I think it tells you the temperature, but it also tells you which fruit or vegetable would be ideal for those temperatures. So it's it's not very exact. So Siggy had been doing chilies as well. What about beans? Do you dry beans?
I have. I've got some. They are in the freezer at the moment. So, I mean, there's still some in there from last year. I've left them in there all that time.
So are they not frozen?
Well, they will be now.
But I mean, in terms of preserving?
Yes, that's yes, that's not dried. But the plan is to get them out of the freezer and leave them in a jar. So they're only in the freezer to ensure that I've killed bugs and things that might be within them. But they need to come out of there now, and they'll go in a jar with some more of the silica sachets in there, and they'll be added to soups and stews and things. But yes.
Yeah, I did the same last year. I put them in the freezer to kill off any bugs with the intention of then taking them out and putting them in a jar. But they took, I didn't have huge amounts of dried beans, so they took up such little room in the freezer. I ended up just leaving them in there. But would you sort of, when you take them out of the freezer, would you lay them out just to get the moisture off them, let that evaporate off, and then put them into the jar with the gel?
That's my plan to do with them. I mean, they'll probably end up in the freezer, but I mean, this year I hope to have a lot more of them, so I plan to just freeze them for a couple of days, thaw them out, and get them in jars. Yeah.
Having said that, I didn't do that with these ones. So these are Cherokee Trail of Tears beans.
Well, they're nice beans. Yeah.
From last year, and they're really in the jar more because I was saving these as seed. But they look fine. Nothing is looking like a bug or none. They're all perfectly hard. So I reckon I could rehydrate those and have those in a dish, which is good because yesterday I started picking my beans, and now I've got a big bag full that I've got to start processing. So I shall do the same. I'll stick those in a jar. I don't know that I'll bother with the freezer.
I've got a tip for you there, Kerry.
Go on.
So I was watching, it was Annabelle Trades. I love Annabelle Trades channel. And she was doing a walk around with More Than Farmers, obviously on YouTube. And she got her children shelling the beans. And it wasn't slave labor. It was so simple what she was doing. So she put all of her pods like you've got there in a pillowcase. And then they were smacking them on the porch or the decks outside. And obviously it breaks them out of it. And then when she was pouring them into a bucket, she'd got a little blower, like a hairdryer. And she was running that. And as they were pouring the beans in, it was blowing the rest of the dried bits of pod that had broken up, blowing them out of the way. And it was just such a perfect operation that you just looked in this bucket and all she had was the beans perfectly in there. So Francis could be
Ah,
really
gets a bit
set
of
on for that job.
winnowing. Well,
Mm.
I reckon I could do that in this bag
Well,
that
yeah,
it's
that's
already
what.
in.
Yeah,
Probably
it did
just
make me
bash it
think.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I might do that then. But I do like sitting on the sofa with the TV on of an evening and just podding. And I've got all my bowls and like things, so I do quite enjoy that.
It's actually easier to pod them when they're dried as well, aren't they? It's not. It's nowhere near the same as trying to pod. It's like I never really like doing the broad beans because the pods don't want to open in quite the same way. Because obviously they're fresh, aren't they? But that'll be fine when they're dried up.
Okay, I think that's our drying then. I guess we've not talked about freeze drying because neither of us has a freeze dryer.
No.
I feel like there's probably something that's in your future, Claire. I can see you buying a freeze dryer.
I don't know. I don't know that I would do enough to warrant them.
Yeah.
The dehydrator is working absolutely fine for me. What is the benefit of freeze drying? Does it retain the flavour more because it's done quicker?
It's so instant, isn't it? I guess all the goodness and flavour is captured. I buy freeze-dried blueberries and they're the real punch of flavour. However, I mostly use them for feeding my water kefir grains. So they add the kind of nutrients that they feed off. Anyway, let's go on then to our next one. Are you ready?
Yeah. Pickling.
Do you like my pictures, by the way?
I do. I feel like that picture was just for me.
Beets. Have you been pickling beets?
I have. Did I bring any? I did bring some.
Oh, okay.
I did. I've gone next level with the pickled beetroots this year. So Duncan loves pickled beetroots. I have no idea what variety these were because, well, there must be Boldor and I think I did Red Ace, rings a bell, the name. And I wish I knew which was which now because one of them was such a deep, vibrant colour. When I was slicing them, they were nicer than the other ones. So I have 2 jars here of pickled beets. And I've brought both of these out because I haven't just pickled these. I have done beets in a few different ways this time, but I've pickled these and then I've canned them. These are shelf stable. And the reason I'm showing these is, again, these are in 2 different types of jar. They're all in the same pan, but I use the normal flats and rings that you've been using. I mean, obviously, I think people know what these are now. There you go.
Do you dare do the like I did?
Well, I'm sure it will be absolutely fine. There you go. And then these ones are just with the lug lids.
Don't store it with the ring on though, Claire.
No, I'm not going to. I've only been done this week, haven't they? I haven't. Oh yeah, I will take them off. And then these ones are just lug lids. And do you know what? I'm a convert. I think I'm going to prefer, it's so much less of a faff. So much less of a faff because you put these on tight. So you screw them on really tight and then you put them in the water bath.
Yeah.
And they just, I don't know, I just don't feel that there's as much doubt over whether it has worked. And it's funny because I was canning something else and it occurred to me that obviously we need things to be acidic. And this is a 50%. Actually, it's just over 50%. It's more like 60-40. 5% pickling vinegar and water. And then obviously the sugar, there is sugar in there as well. So they are naturally extremely acidic. So I thought surely they're safe enough from botulism to just pickle them because I do them and I do because I've also have of these, I have 8 jars like this and 4 jars of this size. I don't want to have to keep them in the fridge because I've only sterilised the jars. So yeah. I feel like I've gone next level this year by actually water bathing those.
Yeah, it's very good. I've not done that. I have pickled beetroot, but I mean quick pickle. It's just throw some vinegar on top and stick them in the fridge. And they will last because, I mean, that's 100% vinegar, I think. I think I might have put a little bit of water on just to bring the level up in the jar. But they're absolutely fine. But you have to store them in the fridge. And if you're doing it en masse, then that's not really practical.
I have a huge jar, a litre jar that I I put those in the fridge because I thought, well, they are the first ones that he'll eat. So because I was
Yeah.
limited, I only wanted to do the water bathing once. I've got 2 big pans that I could use. I thought I'm not doing another batch. So I'd put those in a job. I mean, I did sterilize the jar. I put it in the oven and sterilized it. But it's done that way. But Duncan doesn't like the pickles in 100% vinegar. He finds they give him heartburn. So to be able to dilute it a bit and still give him that pickled taste. And there's onion seed in here and chili powder was put into the pickling mix as well. And that's his preferred way of having it.
Lovely. I mean, I love pickled beetroot. I think before I grew my own beetroot, I've had plain beetroot that's vacuum packed in the supermarket. But I associate beetroot with being pickled, and it wasn't really until I grew it myself that I'm thinking, oh yeah, it doesn't grow like that. It doesn't grow tasting of vinegar. And I love beetroot, and as I said, it's been such a good beetroot year this year. But with our family always has pickled beetroot with bubble and squeak. That's our thing, and thick bread with bubble and squeak and beetroot on. That's Boxing Day for us.
Oh, well,
speaking of Boxing Day, it'd be pickled onions.
No,
because that's a tradition, isn't it, to have pickled onions on Boxing Day?
I tried to grow silver skin onions this year so I could make pickled onions, and they didn't grow. So, I mean, onions were not a good year for me this year whatsoever. So, no. I mean, would you slice a normal onion and do that, or would they be pickled onions? They have to be pickled onions. I'll try again next year because now I'm feeling more confident with the canning. Again, I could do a batch of those. And I preferred that instead of just doing a small bit. Like you're doing your tomatoes as you go along, really, because you don't have the storage space for them. Well, that doesn't appeal to me. I'd rather have a day in the kitchen and do all of them while I've got everything out and the food mill's dirty, and I want to do it all in one go. So I did, it was a mammoth task, but I did it all in one go. I mean, it was a bit crazy really, but that's how I prefer to do it. And I would be the same with the beetroot. I probably will end up doing another batch now because I've got so much beetroot, but the thought of why, as soon as I finished and I enjoyed doing it, I was like, why didn't I just harvest some more and do it all? But never mind.
Yeah.
But I have also vacuum sealed. I know we're not talking about vacuum sealing, but
no, we are. I've got it.
I meant right now. Now. Sorry. But I will do some more and probably do that way because I have freezer space now as well.
Yeah. What I would do with onions, though, is like quick pickles. If I was chopping an onion like into rings or slices and then just make a quick pickle out of that. And then that's nice. You can put on top of like stir fries and things like that, or Thai dishes. It's, very nice. Okay. I think that's probably our pickling then. Well, this could be the vacuum packed. Let's have a look. This was also a third prize. Oh, no. Well, because you were just saying I don't have the storage space to do all of my canning at once. And that's because I don't have. That was in the wrong bit. I don't have huge amounts of freezer space. That was meant to be someone looking cold. I don't know. Quite got that.
They just look scared.
So, how many freezers do you have?
3 proper freezers, 4 if I include one of my mother-in-law's because she's got 2 and only uses 1, so I can use her freezer. I have done, but actually I tend to find that her freezer gets used for other things, not food like this, not stuff from the garden, because I seem to commandeer our freezers for that. But Duncan will put pizzas and things and oven chips and things in there because he does like to have the odd convenience food. But what I might be putting in Mary's freezer is some potatoes. I'm debating mashing some potatoes and putting those in the freezer.
I hate frozen mash.
But she likes it. So although I'll be using her freezer, I will be giving it to her actually, because she eats her dinners at very different times to me and likes it fresh. I know it won't be fresh if it's come out of the freezer as such, but I feel like that would be a way that I could serve her the potatoes more readily if we're not having that, and that's what she suddenly asks for. It would be a lot quicker.
Yeah. So I don't have that many freezers. I have 2, one freestanding one and one that's a fridge freezer.
Yeah.
And so I've probably got 6, 7 drawers. And they're full, Claire. They're full. Even before I even think about tomatoes, they're all full. I've got one drawer that's full of entirely fruit, one drawer that's full of entirely vegetables, many of which are from last year. Because I'm bad with freezers. Once something goes in the freezer and I don't see it, I'm really bad at eating it. Yeah. And I have convenience foods in the freezer as well. My sister said to me actually yesterday, "What is in your freezer?" And I'm like, I don't know, but it's full. There's pumpkin in there from last year, which I feed to Dory when her tummy's off. And speaking of which,
oh yes, I did notice the pumpkin behind you. Yes, I did wonder if that was the show and tell.
We might, because we'll be talking about other kinds of storage coming up. So maybe we'll talk about pumpkin storage. But so I do freeze things. I freeze beans. I froze my kale in little cubes this time, and that worked really well. I've frozen pesto, garlic in like little garlic butter things, but all kind of little things. I don't have the space to freeze like 20 bags of tomatoes. I think I've got one bag of tomatoes, but I did that last year. I put a bag of tomatoes in the freezer and never used them. Because again, I'm terrible. This is why, and people keep telling me on my channel, I think they've said it on Sow Chatty as well, that I don't want a chest freezer, but I feel like I do want a chest freezer. And everyone says, no, you don't. Like it's just
you just use the top layer
for stuff.
Yeah. I have a huge chest freezer. I mean, it is very big, and I don't know what's at the bottom of it. I just use the top bit. It's so cold as well, because it hurts your hands. So when you're trying to rummage in the freezer, and it's like you're literally delving in, and you've got to try and find somewhere to put that so that you can get in at the stuff below it as well. And I just find that my hands are hurting it by the time I've got what I want. So I don't like it. We've got a really tall upright freezer as well, and I love that one. It is frost free as well. I'd like to get rid of the chest freezer for another upright freezer.
My aunt still has one, and we often, like with the damsons and apples and stuff, we'll say, put them in your freezer. We never get them back.
No.
They end up in a crumble or something at her house. We never get them back. In fact, we've used the freezer at church before to put apples and fruits in, because we just, run out of the freezer space. Because we had one of the chest freezers as a kid, I have these fond memories of thinking like, you can keep so much in them. And freezing was the most popular preservation method in our polls this week. So 43% of people said they froze raw vegetables or fruits for the freezer, and that was the biggest.
All of my vegetables go in there. It's just, and I have a lot of fruit in there now, especially, as I already mentioned, the red currants. I've got blueberries in there. I don't have that many strawberries because they weren't overly productive for me this year. Even though they're still producing, we've been eating them, as opposed to what I should have been doing was putting them in the freezer so I could make a batch of something like strawberry jam. But I think we've just preferred to eat them. We just like eating strawberries. So I haven't made strawberry jam.
Great.
No, they go mushy, don't
I mean, they're
they?
fine. Yeah, if you're going to make jam with them, it doesn't matter of things. I think if I had had more strawberries and been more on it, I would have dehydrated them. Right, you ready?
Yep. In oil.
Come on. Where's your jar gone?
I only have one thing in oil. So let's go back, rewind to the calendulas that were air dried. So I air dried the calendula in the greenhouse, but that was not the end produce. I'm still not at the end produce. Next stage is they are now being steeped. That was a word I've learned this year, steeped. They've been steeped in oil. So this oil here, I don't know if you can actually make out that the colour is starting to come in them. See the ring lamp that I've got here. It's just, you can just see up here, can't you? It's a bit orangey. And I've steeped these in cosmetic grade sweet almond oil. And the plan for this moving forward is that they're going to stay in here for 8 weeks. So that takes me to about beginning of November. And I'm then going to be melting some soya in some of it and beeswax in the rest of it to make my own lip balms and salves. And I've bought some tiny little metal tins to make the lip salves with, like how you can buy Vaseline in little tins. Yeah. And they're going to be another gift this year. But that's all I've done. That's all I've done. And that was filled, rampack full at the time. And obviously it seems looser now, but I filled that jar as much as I could with the calendulas and then just put the oil on top.
Do you have to keep tipping it? Are you supposed to?
I have done.
Agitate it?
Yeah, I have done. It stays on the side in the kitchen, so I just walk up to it and just turn it over every now and then.
Because we've got in alcohol as part of this as well, and I think when you've got things in alcohol, the idea is that you keep kind of tipping
You
them
do, and
stuff.
I could show you that right now, because
Go on.
Yesterday when I picked the sloes to make the crab apple and sloe jelly to show you today, I had too many of them. So I've started a kilner jar of sloe gin. Now, I don't drink, so I never would make anything like this for myself. So this was only put in here yesterday. And for the first week, you have to keep turning it upside down, because as you can see, the sugar that's in it, which is golden granulated sugar, doesn't blend in straight away. So a couple of times a day, I'll just go like that, tip it upside down. And after about a week, you'll find that it won't have settled anymore. And then you just tip it once a week every now and then. Now, you have to leave this for at least 3 months to make sloe gin. Now, I'm not using this for this Christmas, not just because it's already October. I usually leave it for at least 12 months. So that won't be being made until next year. And then if I reach down even further, this one here, now you had some sloe gin from me last year, didn't you, for Christmas?
I was just going to say, it was delicious. It was
the
nice.
The sloe gin that you had last year had been in this kilner jar for 3 years. So I put it in and I'd forgotten about it. Yeah. So it was super strong. It was beautiful. And what I've actually done is I've reused it. So this now, so these are the same sloes, because this is what it says to do. These are the same sloes that your sloe gin was out of. And these are just milk chocolate nibs. You can, chips, that you would put in cookies if you wanted to.
Drops,
And you don't melt them. You put them in another jar, but this is vodka. So now this is sloe chocolate vodka liqueur. And this has been in here since November, 19th of November last year. So this will be ready for this year. So it's a very, very mild chocolatey flavour. Very mild chocolatey flavour. And this is going to be I might do you a jar then this year, Kerry.
A bottle. Milk chocolate.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, what a shame.
I'm watching you thinking this around, thinking, you'll have to do a dark chocolate one this year.
Yes. Yeah, they are milk chocolate nibs. But yeah, so that's and I don't, as I've said, I don't drink, but I did actually open the lid and I did put a teaspoon in and I did taste it, because I didn't melt it, because you can melt the chocolate if you want to, and I didn't want to melt it. And you can taste chocolate. Obviously, you can taste vodka, and I don't like that, but you can taste the chocolate, and it's a very subtle flavour of the sloe. And that's why it says to reuse them, so it's not too strong. Neither of the flavour is too strong. Yeah. The vodka liqueur.
Well, you're not the only one doing that. So Trude, I think, was doing a grape liqueur.
Nice.
So they were on the go. I've got a few things on the go. I just looked, didn't I, before we started recording in my liquor cabinet to see if I don't think I did sloe gin last year. I have done that in the past. I did blackcurrant. I think it might have been vodka. And I went to look, didn't I? And then I came back saying I must have drank it all because it wasn't there. I know what I did do, though, because the blackcurrants that had been in it, I then froze, because I thought, well, they've sucked up all the alcohol and they'll be delicious. And when I was having a bit of a freezer clear out not long ago, I found them and I tasted one and it was horrible. I threw them out. So I don't know what happened there, but the liqueur itself was delicious, clearly, because they say that
when you've done the sloes, they say you can make a boozy sloe jam out of it.
Perhaps that's what I should have done, but I shouldn't have put them in the freezer, because didn't go nice. Also on here, so I have something in oil too. So I mentioned earlier that I was dehydrating my tomatoes, but only did them halfway. And that's because I was then putting them in oil. Right. So they're in a basil oil with lots of garlic. So there should be like a sun-dried tomato in oil, but like a soft one. And I am storing these in the fridge, so they're to be used fairly quickly. But when I put because I had garlic, when I harvested the garlic, I had some that needed to be used right away, but more than I could eat. And I had frozen some, but I decided to put some in oil. Kept them lovely in the fridge, in the oil, no problems whatsoever. And that was so handy. Like, I'm not going to go to the freezer to pop out a cube
No.
of garlic to put in my thing, but the fridge is right there. I'll open that, take a spoon of the oil
Would you
garlic and put
blend
that in.
garlic in oil to make a garlic paste, like a lazy type garlic? How would you
Well, this
make
was
that?
really, but it was just really finely chopped. But I
Yeah.
could have done it like that, I suppose. But yeah, I just chopped it all, put it in the jar, and then poured the oil over. But so convenient. Like you say, it's lazy garlic, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I might do that.
Oh, one more thing to show for this one, because I also included in salt. And this is nasturtium salt.
Wow.
There's only a little bit left because it is from last year. So I dehydrated the nasturtiums, then whizzed them up and then mixed them in with the salt. I've really enjoyed using that this year. I mean, I can't say when I've used it, I've thought, ooh, spicy nasturtium when I've eaten it. But I like the feeling that there is nasturtium in it when I use it. So I shall do that, I think, again this year. Now that I've got the dehydrator out, because like you, this motivated me to start doing my preserving. So I got the dehydrator out of the cupboard from the lean-to, and I've had that going this weekend as well.
Excellent.
Okay, nothing else in oil or alcohol then?
No?
No, I think that's it for me as well. Right. I don't know what number we're on now. We've still got some cards to go.
Fridge or cold storage? I look like, why am I looking around, don't I? But I have my camera set right in front of your eyes so that I'm trying to look at you, so I can't see when you're holding things up.
I forgot about that. Okay, so what do you keep in the fridge?
Well, obviously the quick pickled things that are only sterilised. The jam is being kept in the fridge because they're only in sterilised jars. I mean, you can the jam in a rolling boil for 10 minutes, but I haven't bothered to do that.
No, I didn't.
No, but I would if I did huge batches of it. So they're in the fridge. And obviously anything that I've harvested fresh that I tend to eat would go in the fridge, but long-term storage in the fridge, I don't really have that, apart from the jams.
I'm going to say apples.
Ah.
So I have done apples in cold storage before. I wrapped them in newspaper or magazines, put them all in a box and covered it all up. And they just all, rotted in the box and attracted lots of fruit flies and wasn't pretty. And my mom always keeps apples in the fridge and for a long period of time.
Yeah, they do.
And like, I got to listen to my mom, haven't I? So that's this morning, because I still had all those apples from Apple Day that I mentioned last week, and I've been harvesting my own apples. So I've sorted all through them. Any that are damaged, I've put to one side to use quickly. But the ones that look pristine, they've all gone in a layer in the my other fridge, my big fridge. I've got the vegetable drawer, and I put them all in a layer with tea towel underneath and on top. And I'm hoping that I can keep them for a fair amount of time this year. So that's what I'm keeping in the fridge.
When I've bought apples, that's how I've stored apples. I always store them in the fridge in the salad drawer.
Don't.
No, I've always put those in because that's how you get apples in the shop. They call it suspended something or other, don't they? It's like they're literally held from going any further in the ripening process by just being that bit above being frozen. And so I've always kept them in the fridge. And so, they do last for months in the fridge. So when I have a glut of apples, so obviously this year I haven't had a glut of apples, but when I hopefully eventually at some point in the future become overwhelmed with the amount of apples that the trees produce on the orchard, that is how I do plan to have longer term storage of them.
So cold storage or cool storage, perhaps, garlic, onions, potatoes, pumpkins, although pumpkins need to cure in the windowsill first. Oca, where do you keep your oca?
I just treat it like a potato. So I put it in a dark box in a cupboard with next to the potatoes that are all in a dark box.
Yeah. I mean, mine have gotten eaten almost straight away. But the ones that I've saved for seed, I would do like that. So again, just like a potato. Okay. I'm happy with that one. Because next is the biggie.
Canning.
And we've talked about this on and off as we've been talking about other things, because a lot of these methods have kind of been overlapping with each other. But I guess the big one we've been doing is tomatoes. There was, in So I said people weren't too worried about mice. The big thing that people were worried about with preserving produce was botulism or other kinds of nasties. And you mentioned those earlier as well. We also had a story from, I think it was from Bridgda, about her dad's exploding tomatoes, which I assume just started fermenting in the jars for some reason. And that sounded like it was a very, very messy cleanup.
Yes.
But how's your tomato canning gone this year then, Claire? How much have you done? Any disasters?
So 27 bags of tomatoes only made me 13 jars of this sauce here. But I mean, my daughter, and there's nothing added to this. This is just pure tomato sauce. So I can do whatever I want with this afterwards. You know, sometimes I'll go on and make this into a soup. But she doesn't like the seeds and she doesn't really like lots of pulping. I mean, I can see the odd seed that gets through the food mill. That is why, obviously, I don't get many tomatoes or many jars out of them because there's just not a lot in. The waste was huge. And I think it's gone quite well. But I did have a slight disaster about the botulism kind of thing as well. I very nearly threw all of these away because you have to make them more acidic, as people that can will know. And the idea is that you add a tablespoon of lemon juice to a jar like this, which raises the acidity and just protects you against botulism. Botulism can only develop if the pH is greater than 4.6. So anything lower than that, it's too acidic for botulism to be able to grow. Now, when I was putting things away I'd canned these for a couple of days and I'd put things in the dishwasher and the little measuring, your little measuring spoons you get sort of on a ring together or all in a cluster and they hang on the side of the mug thing in the dishwasher. So they stayed in there for a couple of days. When I went to put them in the drawer, I realized that one of them had come off the ring and the one that had come off the ring was the tablespoon. And I thought that means I've only put half a tablespoon in these jars. Now, it does say 1 tablespoon per quart, which is a litre anyway. And obviously, these are only 330 mil. So in theory, it should have been okay. But I had a complete and utter panic. So I was just so convinced that I was going to throw them away. So what I then went out and bought was this tool here. And this is a pH tester. The digital pH tester, and you have to calibrate it. You get 3 packets of things you have to make up in 250 mils of water, 4, 7, and 10 pH. So you calibrate it for each of those to know that you've done it right. And so I thought before I throw these away, because it took me all day to make them, all that milling of tomatoes, I bought this and I thought it's quite a handy tool to have if you're like me and you are so scared. And I think I'm more scared because I don't eat it. So I'm making this, but I'm trusting my family to eat this, knowing that I'm not going to put it in my mouth. And I always think that sounds a bit suspicious. There's that lady in Australia, isn't there, that made some beef Wellington with some very dodgy mushrooms and killed the family.
Mushrooms, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's kind of in the back of my mind, don't poison the family because it will look very suspicious. So I bought this and I actually I'm not going to open another jar because obviously I don't want to waste another jar, but I opened the jar after this had been calibrated and these were 3.8 pH.
Oh.
Ideal pH is 3.8 to 4.2. If it's any lower, it'll be okay, but it might be quite tart to flavour, you know, when you're putting it in a dish. So these are bang on the money. There's no way that botulism can physically grow in this because it is too acidic now. And that's the whole reason that we do the lemon juice in them or the citric acid or vinegar. So if you haven't got lemon juice, you can put vinegar in as well, but you need 4 times the amount of vinegar. And I think that for a jar this small, I think that would probably taint the flavour a bit too much.
That.
Yeah.
So for mine, I've got to lean across, there's mine. I use citric acid. So it's only a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid for a jar this size. So this is 12 US fluid ounce jar. It's basically a pint jar. I've got the wide mouth one there as well. As you can see, I do not mill. Everything is in there.
It would be so much easier.
Yeah. The other thing with botulism as well is that if you're cooking the tomatoes, and I would never just eat these cold.
No.
And if you cook them and properly bring them up to temperature, boil them for like 10 minutes, then nothing can survive that either. So that's another safety kind of point. And also I have read if you are a healthy adult with no underlying issues, like your body can fight off kind of thing. And that's why it's so rare It is very rare to do. So you're right. I get frightened by it too. And last year I didn't fill my jars quite high enough. I left too much of a gap. So I did use them relatively quickly because I was a bit unsure, but we're absolutely fine.
Well, talking of that, I did the same. So this is one of my jars from last year. And as you can see, that is not as full. Yeah. So these are very different colour to this. So as I've said, this is just pure tomatoes. This has got, what does it say on it? This has got garlic and onion in it as well. So that's why it's a bit more orangey. It's the onion that makes it go quite so orangey. Now, I've opened one of these this morning and these were 3.9. So I've tested this morning. So even though it's a bit open like this. Now, Google, when I asked Google about botulism, and I said, if I boil them anyway, are they going to be safe? Google actually said that while boiling this, if it hadn't have been acidic enough, can kill the botulism itself. It can't kill the spores. So you'd have to be careful when you opened them because there could still be spores in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, because the other way and you're always recommended, whether your jar looks absolutely fine and you've done it all to plan, when you open, you should sniff it.
Yeah.
So then you would be sniffing those spores, but that's what you should do. You can't smell botulism, so that's not for that. But anything else that might be wrong in there, a good sniff test, and cook it properly after you've opened it. Okay. Anything else that you've canned other than the beets? Have you ever done beans before? Because these things, you would can those for less time, and that makes me a little bit more unsure. I know I'm blasting these for 40 minutes in a water bath,
Well, they're
pretty well.
Yeah. Well, I was looking
preserved.
up this morning soups. Well, it was Pammy that sent me a list of things, and soup was one of them. And I believe potatoes and carrots and things, but they actually were being canned for longer, not less time. Soup was an hour and 30 minutes, vegetable soup. That's a long time. A long time.
Yeah, I think it's things like bobby beans. If you were doing those, you would do them for like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah. Well, the jam's
but we don't
only
have
10
lots
minutes.
of experience in that, so we shouldn't talk to that. And hopefully people in the live chat, if they know
and I
more
don't
about
have
that,
a pressure. I don't have a pressure canner either.
No,
so
I meant
that
to
is the
say
other way
that
of doing things.
We're not, yeah. And mostly for pressure canning, it's more of a US thing, isn't it? I think even to get a pressure canner is either hugely expensive over here or you end up having to import it from the US.
And we had a bit of comments in videos about the difference between pressure canning and water bathing, because I know it's quite popular. As you say, pressure canning is more popular in America, but I think the preserving in general is a big thing. That the homesteading lifestyle is bigger in America anyway than it is obviously here. But there is nothing that you can't, well, not particularly meats, but there was talk that you can't actually pressure can carrots and beans and things. But I'll put a link up to an article that I was reading. Again, Pammy sent me this, that we can water bath things in this country. It's not as popular, but you can still water bath those things safely. And I know if you're from an area that would advocate to go to pressure canning, you might think that water bathing the carrots or the beans wouldn't be safe. But apparently it is. You've just got to really research the length of time that you need to do them for. And apparently, like these, for instance, these tomatoes, and I wish that I'd checked them. I mean, it'd be interesting for you to, well, you don't have the pH tester.
I would like to,
Yeah.
I've got strips though.
Yeah, well,
strips.
Because these are all heritage tomatoes, they are naturally more acidic anyway. So the tomatoes that are less acidic are your paste tomatoes, which is when it'd be really important to be hot on with the amount of acid that you add to them. But for these, they probably would have been acidic enough anyway.
Well, we had another comment, didn't we, about because you had frozen your tomatoes before you cooked them to can, and the comment was about including the water So
Yeah.
not letting the water drain off because the water that has the acidity in it. But obviously when you're adding lemon juice or citric acid, you're bringing that acidity up anyway. So if you did want a thicker tomato without that water,
Yeah.
you could do it. But you do need
And
to
then-
add that extra acidity.
Well, they're water anyway. I mean, if you look at this, obviously because this is milled, I mean, look how runny this is. This is
Same
not
mine, because
this
mine
is
are just
not thick.
chopped. Yeah.
But I drain off the water. Obviously, there's no skins because that comment also mentioned about bacteria on the skins from freezing.
It did, and
so there are no
I've got
skins,
the skins in
mine.
mine, but
yeah, there are. But then
yeah.
yours haven't been frozen, have they? I'm sure they were washed
No.
as well. So these have, I don't have skins in mine.
Okay. Right. 2 left. My favourite.
Fermenting. This is something I've never done. So over to you, Kerry. The mic is
Oh,
yours.
okay. Well, I don't have a lot to show at the minute, actually. Oh, in fact, I do have a sauerkraut in the fridge, and it's got, I think that one had nasturtium pods, seeds in. But I love doing things like sauerkraut and kimchis. I have been doing the fermented gherkins, so pickled gherkins. So rather than pickling my gherkins in vinegar, I've been creating the acidic environment by using a brine and letting that. This is a small jar. I've done some bigger jars of it. I have to say as well, I am loving the glass weights this year. With these wide mouth jars, they're so good for keeping everything underneath the brine, and that's a trick, really.
Yeah.
Keep everything underneath the surface of the brine. But I've got the gherkins, I've got black peppercorns. You can see the chilies there. Sorry, I'm not actually on the camera. Got some fennel there because I didn't have any dill, garlic, and I'll use those to put on burgers and things like that. Absolutely love those, and I've done quite a few jars of those this year. So that's been my main fermenting this year. But when I get some more cabbages and things, I would be doing sauerkrauts and things like that. So I know there are other people who've been really big on the fermenting. So who have we got? Because fermenting also includes wine. But it was Ali who'd done kimchi, and it was Liz who talked about doing wines. Have you ever done any wines?
I mean, I don't drink.
I really want to do it.
I don't drink.
I guess, yeah.
And I don't know anyone that drinks wine necessarily, but I know people that will take the sloe gin off me and the vodka liqueur off me. That's what I make it for as a present. But yeah, we don't drink, so it doesn't appeal to me.
What appeals to me is rhubarb wine. I really want to do that. So that's kind of thinking about for next year. I have done elderflower champagne, but as Siggy has testified, that can be quite dangerous if your bottles get a bit warm or whatever and they pop off, and again you can end up with some mess with exploding elderflower champagne. And I've now changed and I do elderflower kombucha instead, which is a little less volatile. And Karen was talking about doing cider. And I think that was a massive batch of cider that they were making that then turned into vinegar. And you were saying about apple cider vinegar, weren't you, Claire, in your reply? Because I've done that in the past. I've made like apple scrap cider vinegar, and that's great to make. And I've got all of these apples, which I'll start processing. So I think I will do that this year and make some apple cider vinegar. It's very easy to do. So the last thing that we're doing is
vacuum packing. Look at that.
Look at this. This is my little vacuum packed. So as I say, never done this myself. You need kit for this, don't you? So how does it work, Claire?
It's not expensive kit either. So it cost me, it was under £30. It might have been under £25 actually. I can't remember. So I bought a little electric vacuum sealer. I actually didn't realise they were as cheap as they are, which is what spurred me on to try it. And I wanted to portion things. And in particular, it was for sweet corn. That's what I originally bought it for. Because the family wanted to have it the kernels taken off the cobs. And because, I had so much sweet corn. If you stored its whole cobs in the freezer, you're taking up a lot of freezer space right at the time when the freezer was still full of tomatoes for me. So being able to take some off the cobs for them and vacuum seal them, I felt was the best way of dealing with it. But it was a gadget. I mean, I could have dealt with it a different way, but I really gave it a thought. And
this
you know,
is why I think you're going to get a freeze dry off sooner or later.
Well, we had a few people actually that commented on the use of the plastics for them. But to be honest, anything I put in the freezer, vegetable wise, is going in the freezer in a plastic bag, in a freezer bag that I'm very rarely going to use again. So I bought the vacuum sealer. So you buy the little pouches that come in the vacuum sealer, pop your things in, or you can buy it in a roll and make your own bag size up as you go along.
Oh, okay.
Put it in the vacuum sealer and then it does its job. So this is one I prepared earlier. I've just been and got these out of the freezer. So this is the sweet corn that's taken off the kernels. So if you can see, it's all, I mean, you can't really see it particularly clearly now, can you? But yeah, that's the sweet corn.
So that's not cooked at all?
It is cooked. So this is cooked for, it kind of cooked for about 10 minutes. It's not completely cooked all the way through because you need to cook it to get it to come nicely off there, you know, neatly off the kernel. So that's cooked for about 10 minutes, plunged into cold water, scraped off, and then vacuum sealed like this. I didn't just seal them like that. So I did keep some of them chopped in half this way as well.
Don't they look great?
Yeah.
So they look just like you would buy in the supermarket, but they have those on the shelf rather than in the freezer. But you would have to freeze those, wouldn't you?
Yes, they will last longer in the fridge, but I've put everything in the freezer still. I haven't tried it. So my reason for doing this is because this takes up less room than having them loose in a bag. Yeah. So I'm trying to use less space in the freezer. And so, yeah, so that's the sweet corn. But then I've also done it, as you mentioned earlier, how you used to buy beetroot. And so, yes, Duncan used to have beetroot like this. So I've been storing portions. And that's the whole point with this. It's portions of sweet corn. So it stays as fresh as possible because it's been vacuum sealed. And I have the same with beetroot. Now, I did have some in the fridge and I just went to open the fridge door, but Duncan's already opened it to try it. So I couldn't bring that one down here. So there's some in the freezer as well. And these are cooked beetroots that are just smaller ones I've been vacuum sealing like this. And it's so simple to use. If you were trying to seal soups and sauces and things that have a high water content, you press the pulse vac button so that you can do it bit by bit so that it doesn't suck too much fluid up. And then you stop when you're ready and go into press the seal button. These, you just push them in and press vac and seal, and it takes as much air out, obviously, as you can see, a lot of air out, and then it automatically seals them. But it's so satisfying. I absolutely love doing it. It's so satisfying. But yeah, that's mine.
See, I would be tempted to do that for fermenting because there's a lot of ferments that you can do. Like gooseberries I've seen done in vacuum packing, and you can still do them in jars, but it looks like it might work better when they're vacuum packed because obviously you're taking the air out of the equation. It's the plastic use that
this kit comes with a little hose pipe thing, and that is to put in the top of the jars that you can suck air out of jars and things. So I don't understand how it works because I've not done that. But yeah, it is to use on those kind of jars that you can, suck the air out of them.
I have seen a gadget where I think it's universal and fits on wide mouth jars where you just put it on the top of a jar and it vacuums the jar. Then I think you have to buy the special lids each time. But I was tempted by that because yes, I think I would rather go the jar way than using the plastic. But that's good because that's the first time I've known anybody who's done vacuum sealing. There's one more thing. We're out of cards, but there's one more thing that you have done, Claire, that it comes under none of these categories, I don't think. So do you want to share this anomaly?
I've been asked to show this, haven't I, a few times. So preserving things obviously doesn't just have to be edibles, does it? Or drinkables, because this is one of my most favourite things that I preserved last year, and I apologise for the crinkly packet. This is one of my loofah soaps, and I'm not sure. In fact, I can open this. I have plenty of these single-use plastic bags again. And actually, when I gave these as gifts last year, I put them in little jute bags, but the jute bags marked the... Oh, okay. It marked the soap, so they didn't look as shiny. When this doesn't look shiny because this has come out of a jute bag to put in this bag so that you could see what was inside it. But this is a loofah soap. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see just about. Yeah. You can see that the loofah is sliced up and it is put into a mould, a soap mould, and pour in some melt and pour soap, 2 different varieties. This one's got a citrus flavouring in it and a little bit of citrus colouring. And obviously the idea with these is it's impregnated, the loofah being in there, it sort of rubs your hands while you're washing. It was a novelty thing to do these. And I honestly thought that people wouldn't like them, that they would be, oh, how many times do you get given soaps and things, smellies for Christmas, and you never use them? I don't know about you, but I like to re-gift these things. Sorry if any family members are watching. And I made these and I was so surprised that everyone was asking if there was any more soap. That's probably one of my most favourite things that I preserved and carried on using throughout the season last year.
And that was in none of our categories.
None of the categories. But funnily enough, so asked about. Everyone has been asking about the loofah soap.
Yeah, I made them last year too. I think I've still got some pour and melt soap left. So I've got my 1 loofah so far that I have harvested. But when I start harvesting the bigger ones, I'll be making the soaps again. And I put some scents in them and gave them away as Christmas gifts too. And
but you don't need much loofah. You don't need much loofah, do you? I mean, this one loofah because it's cut so thin, is going to make, well, probably all of the soaps that I'm going to plan to make this year. And I did say in my video on Sunday that I'd got one that was really chunky and that one would be going in the shower with me. And it just sounded so suspect. But what I meant was that it was too big. And I don't know why I never explained it by writing on the screen either. That was too, because you don't want to cut the edges off it. You want it to be in a complete ring. It's too big for the soap mould. That's what I meant. That one would be one that would be being used in the shower or in the sink in the kitchen. It won't be being used for soap moulds.
It's a good point, actually, because some of mine have grown really big this year. And the molds that I used were a little silicone cupcake mold. And I don't know that they would fit in that one. So I might need to treat myself to some new molds. Well, Claire, we have covered preserving methods with a bonus at the end there.
We have.
That was pretty comprehensive, I think. Again, not experts, and we hope that there'll be, a pooling of everybody's knowledge in the live chat and in the comments after the video as well. But that was great. Any teasers for next week, Claire? Will you be preserving more things?
I don't think so. I think I need a break from preserving. I do need to do more things, but I will have a break. Actually, though, what's interesting is a lot of these things would be for little Christmas gifts. So I actually suddenly feel like I've got a head start on Christmas. Like, I've already started Christmas, So it's quite nice to do that. But I want to sort out a weedy bed. There's the weedy bed that had the peas in it, and there's a bit more weed in the path. So I'm going to be sorting that out. I'm going to be sowing the giant onions. And the job that I really need to get done is sort out that grapevine. So I need to put those horizontal ties in for it before it starts to die back for winter, and those little nice soft pliable new shoots become quite woody over winter, and I won't be able to bend them to get the horizontal strapping for them. So going to sort the grapevine out as well.
3 things for you for next week.
Yeah, there's a few things. What about you? You must have something on the agenda.
Well, I should look at my grapevine. I took my grapevine from my old plot and it's been in a little pot and it never got in the ground, along with my Japanese wineberry. But they are not things for this week because, as I say, I'm struggling with room on the plot.
Yeah.
Teaser for my video is my day at the plot yesterday, morning till dusk. In fact, the moon came up while I was still on the plot last night. So that's a teaser for my video, again, coming out on Saturday morning now. Job to do for this week. I've just got to get on top of these tomatoes. And I think to do that, I've got to go and buy some more jars. So I'm going to buy more jars, make more sauce. It's lovely chatting with you as always, Claire. Thank you.
It was lovely chatting with you too. And I feel like we're hopefully helping the audience out. And I've learned a thing or two as well. And you really pushed me to get some things done this week. So for that, I am incredibly grateful. I am. But I'm very tired. So I'm going to have a lie down after all of this preserving. But we will see you next week and we'll catch up with you in the live chat tonight. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye.